Okay, here we are at chapter 22. So Bill begins. I know that all that you have said, Father Spence, has been heartfelt, but I know this is what I'm supposed to do. My chance to work with kids in some way means a great deal to me, and if this is the way God has intended to use me, so be it. I realize that I may be overmatched in trying to save some small corner of the world. I have no degree in psychology or sociology. I've never worked in any kind of a setting where behavior modification was the goal or a concern. And in this situation, you have so many issues working against you, including some very negative business interests with drug trafficking and a powerful negative sphere of influence. I know it's going to be difficult, or someone would have solved it a long time ago, I continue. I know this may seem overwhelming at first, added Father Spencer, but I believe in your tremendous athletic ability will be the ticket of acceptance in the blacktop world most of these kids live in. It will be a challenge for you to fit in, and for them to accept you. Some or many may not. But we have tried to save some of them, even one of them at first. Every journey Jesus took began with the first step. This will be yours and mine. I promise to be with you every step of the way, Father Spencer concluded. Father, I'm most excited about this opportunity you've offered me and the chance to come here to Moody. I don't expect it to be easy, but this is exactly the kind of challenge I've been looking for. This may be the chance to really make a difference somewhere, somehow. I sure hope it is. I have no delusions about my abilities or how difficult this task will be. It may be even better not to know how insurmountable it really is. If God has led you to this point, and the fact that I am even sitting here talking to you about it has moved the Holy Spirit in a remarkable way. I say let the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. I will be part of the way and hope not to get in the way, I reply. Well, that's great, beamed Father Spencer. We will begin tomorrow with our first meeting with two of my associates and Sergeant Jenkins of the Metro Police Youth Division. He's about to be promoted to a detective. He will give us an overview of the projects we intend to target first. These are the roughest neighborhoods. Bob, nothing like we are used to. Danger and the potential for trouble exist all the time. For many of these kids, help is always too late with the police involved. They can't help but arrive at the scene of an accident. I believe only we can be there before there is any trouble. Sergeant Jenkins can be a big help to give us some background on the players in the hood, so to speak, and he can help us spot the preliminary signs of trouble. We are all getting very tired of the only people making money in any of this are the drug dealers and the companies that are making crime scene tape. Father Spencer goes on. Jenkins has photos of the troublemakers in the area that can help you be on guard a little more when you see them around, that sort of thing. He has also been given all the support he needs from the mayor's office to assist us in any way. The mayor is trying to be a help at this point and totally supportive. This plan has been kept under wraps for the most part up to this point. We don't need a nosy press blowing any chance we may have for success just for them to get some scoop or storyline. These problems are way beyond hype and who gets credit. It is time for someone to start coming up with some solutions and not just fund another government program. It's enough of tax and spend. 25 plus years of that is enough. With that, Father Spencer rose from his chair behind his desk. I rise to meet him, sensing that our meeting is over. Plan on meeting back here at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we'll walk over and go to the meeting together, said Father Spencer as we moved toward the office door. Another student, Ben Murphy, is waiting outside to show you over to Miles Hall, where you'll be living. You should be very comfortable there. It's a good central location and probably the best food on campus. Ben will be graduating this year. He's one of the best students we've ever had. I don't want you to get the impression that I'm prejudiced or anything just because he is my nephew, beamed Father. You could sense that there was a great love and pride here. In the reception area, there was this big, strapping man, all 6'5" and easily 260 pounds. He could have passed for the late Dan Blocker from Bonanza fame. A big, broad grin stretched across his face as he saw his uncle, Father Spencer. They hugged as Ben was nearly a foot taller than his uncle. This was going to take some getting used to, for sure. Ben walked me over to Miles Hall to get settled in. There was no problem for Ben being able to carry more than his share of my bags to my assigned room. The room was much bigger than I could have hoped for. The room measured 15 by 16 feet and was nicely appointed with walnut furniture, a single bed with a bookcase built into the headboard, and large 7-drawer desk with 2 leather overstuffed chairs. A refrigerator was tucked into the corner, along with a small apartment-sized electric range. A round 48-inch pedestal table was centered with 4 chairs around it. A small sink was found to the left of the stove. Little did I know that most of these useful items the most useful things were going to be the fridge and the bed. I was going to be much too busy to think of entertaining, let alone do any. I had a good night's sleep, and Ben picked me up at 7:30 the next morning, and we rushed down to breakfast. The main menu was much like an a la carte menu. I was used to a little bit of this in the service, but I took a large glass of orange juice, a couple of eggs over easy on a piece of wheat toast, 2 slices of French toast, and a cup of coffee with half a teaspoon of sugar. Ben's breakfast was considerably larger, considering the personal engine he had to fuel. We sat at a small round table alone. You going to eat all that yourself, or is your immediate family coming inside your coat? I asked with a smile on my face. No, this is just for me, quipped Ben. I had slept like a rock and felt invigorated and ready to tackle what was going to be the beginning of a great challenge and adventure. Ben began the conversation. My uncle has been so looking forward to you getting here, said Ben. This idea of trying to help these inner city kids has been driving his head crazy and weighing heavy on his heart. He thought he had a number of candidates for this job, but none of them ever seemed to be the right one for him. Hard to say why, though. My uncle is a great judge of character. He can be very demanding, but he's also tremendously compassionate. As long as people give 100%, he'll walk through fire for them. Lazy people drive him crazy. Unfortunately, many of the people that you're going to try to help are just that, lazy and unfocused, and are followers, not leaders. Ben continued, most of the instigators who form this core of this negative sphere of influence are just users and can only be defined as maliciously lazy. I don't mean to sound too judgmental, but these are the realities about this that you must accept. The troublemakers are more than evil. The devil is in them. People get hurt moving into their turf, and make no mistake about that, they don't care. Ben, I said, listen, I appreciate your concern, and I don't think I have some pie-in-the-sky notion about this program. I will keep a reasonable level of concern, but I can't become afraid of my own shadow about this project. If I do, The paranoia will drive me crazy, and I'll be looking over my shoulder all the time. I have to trust the Lord to keep me safe and go on from there." "Bob," said Ben, "I just want you to succeed and stay alive while doing it. That's all. This will be no walk in the park at times. I have asked my uncle to let me help you if you want, and he has agreed. But he did say that would be totally up to you, though. He is not going to tell you what to do or how to get the job done. Who works with you is up to you. He has made that clear." "Well, I will take all the help I can get, Ben, I accept. Let's eat and get to our first meeting. The sun has already beaten us to the punch." With that, Ben and I finish our breakfast and make our way across campus. Father Spencer and Detective Sergeant Jenkins were already there, standing at the far end of the room, talking in the sunshine. 3 priests were seated at a 9-foot table. One was sipping a cup of coffee poured from a white carafe. As soon as Aunt Ben and I arrived, Father Spencer brought Detective Sergeant Jenkins across the room to be introduced. The room appeared to be some sort of multi-purpose room with big 12-foot ceilings, about 30 by 40 feet. "Bob," announced Father Spencer, "I'd like you to meet Jim Jenkins. Sergeant Jenkins is heading up the youth division of the Metro Police. Detective Jenkins, this is Bob Lollar, the young fellow I've been telling you about." We shook hands with each other as we exchanged warm smiles. "Good to meet you," said Detective Jenkins. "Father here has been driving me crazy to get on with this project, just waiting for Mr. Wright to show up, and I guess you are him," as Jenkins warmly slapped me on the back of the shoulder. "Well, I'm not sure about that," I reply, "but it is sure good to finally be here at Moody. I wasn't quite expecting to be spending half of my class time in the field, so to speak, but as long as you are my personal bodyguard, along with Ben, I feel better already." "In your dreams, preacher boy," shot back Detective Jenkins. "It's much too dangerous out there on the playground these days. A pair of Air Jordans and a 9mm are all too available these days. When they tell you that you need to be tough to play in the paint, around here, they are not kidding." "All right, Jim," chimed in Father Spencer. "Let's not give the kid a heart attack the first day. What do you say?" I suppose you're right," said Detective Jenkins with a smile. "No need to send him off on the first flight out of Chicago, I guess." Jenkins smiled as he motioned for everyone to head to the larger conference table. "What do you say we get started?" We all moved to the big table and took our seats. A 3-inch black binder with the city seal and the circular wording, "Youth Division Metro Police," was centered on the cover. Across the bottom it said, "Confidential." "Gentlemen, let's get started," began Jenkins in a very businesslike tone in his voice. "These binders before you are for your eyes only. You are to share none of this information within these binders with no one, not even friends, roommates, no one. Everyone in the department who has access to this information has a security clearance and accepts the fact that this is sensitive information that the street would love to have. They do not need to know how much we know about them. We know considerably more than they would like. Plea bargaining does not serve us well with this intelligence. Most of it pans out to be true and verifiable. Turn to page 6. We all open our binders, as Jenkins instructed. The page was headed Operation B-Ball. What we have learned over the last few months, Jenkins continued, is that a number of key drug dealers and bookies have infiltrated the city-sponsored midnight basketball program. 24 teams compete, and it has become a web of gambling and drug trafficking. These pages marked 10 through 16 give bios on the kingpins of this activity along with the most recent photos of each. We are not sure at this point how much the league's players are involved, but we do know that much of the action is spectator related, and we have begun videotape surveillance of every game over the last month, continued Jenkins. I need to tell all of you that there have been 7 known homicides we believe that can be directly traced to this activity. We know more are to follow. The money is now growing into tens of thousands of dollars, maybe millions for all we know. This is not going away. I sat almost stupefied as Jenkins continued his presentation. What have I gotten into, I began thinking. Just listening to Jenkins made me all too aware of what this really was all about. This was organized crime, all right, just missing the spaghetti sauce and a different and much younger set of players. There were no fronts like the garbage or food service. This was all cash, small bills, just lots of them. I took a deep breath and decided that I was still committed to try and make a difference. I would surely find out how much faith I really had.